Will the United States take part in what is happening in Iran there? So we'll see. Will the president make that move? That's something, of course, we heard from him yesterday. We'll monitor it as any decision is made. All right, so Megan Kohler, again, joining us at any minute. And then at 11:30, the conservative analyst and author T.S. Dixon will join us. At 12:05 Eastern, Carlos Sands, former ambassador to Denmark under President Trump, will join us at 12:05, of course, working with America First Policy Institute. And then Bruce Lavelle, of course, great Atlanta businessman, longtime friend and advisor of President Trump, will join us at 12:30. And then at 1 o'clock will be the press conference. Of course, we're going to look at various Truth Social posts, X posts, any fresh videos that are coming in that are posted from the White House or any other government entities, and of course keeping tabs on the Middle East situation out there. Let's shift gears. Let's go to Megan Kohler right now in Cleveland, Ohio, RSBN host. Thank you so much for joining us, Megan. How's your morning going so far on this Thursday, June 19th?
So far, so good, Matthew. Thanks for having me on today.
Definitely. All right. So we just played that video outside the White House there. And I know you've been outside the White House before, correct? Can you talk to us about the fact that now these two great Old Glory flags high above there for the world to see? Isn't that awesome?
It just is such a patriotic moment to see these two flagpoles being erected outside the White House. And President Trump also enacted the one flag policy as soon as he got into office this time around. So you cannot be flying flags for any other political organization that you're trying to pander to different categories of people. So it's great to see just pure American patriotism with the American flags being displayed at the White House.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it next time I'm in D.C. to see those flags. Who doesn't love Old Glory? It represents so much for this country and the freedoms that we have. So it's awesome to see that. Looking forward to seeing that. Let's shift gears back domestically, continuing in a domestic front. When it comes to Los Angeles, when it comes to other cities across the country, the ICE deportations are still happening, even in the midst of this very, very fluid 24/7 news cycle with the Middle East. Your thoughts about the fact that the deportations are happening and what that means for our country moving forward, including within the big, beautiful bill of that possibly passing in the Senate?
I mean, this past month of May, 0 illegal immigrants came into this country due to President Trump's policies being strong on the border, compared to last year when Biden was in office, was over 60,000 illegal immigrants poured into our country just 1 year ago versus now. It's great to see a president who actually cares about his campaign promises. This was his number one campaign promise, was to secure the border, mass deportations, and to stop the illegal immigration crisis, because we truly cannot afford a welfare system over time with people pouring into our country. We're going to go bankrupt. We don't have unlimited resources. I know a lot of, the government people like to print extra money, but it has no value if you just keep printing money. So we don't have unlimited resources to share with the entire world. We can't be the global soup kitchen anymore. We physically cannot have a country without borders. This was President Trump's number one campaign promise. He's delivering on it. And I don't know why any of the protesters were confused or shocked or in disbelief that this was happening, because President Trump had been talking about it the entire campaign season, and the 4 years that Biden was in office, President Trump has been talking about it. So shouldn't be shocking anybody that this is happening, because President Trump is a man of his word and he's delivering on this.
Exactly. Let's shift now to hyper-local news coverage when it comes to OHIO, Ohio. Vivek Ramaswamy running for governor there. What are people saying there about Vivek? What's the overall feel in the Cleveland area? Not sure if you've been to Columbus and Cincinnati recently, but just what's it like there at OHIO?
So Vivek is starting to do campaign, like mini rallies and fundraisers around the state of Ohio, which I think is awesome. And of course, he is backing the MAGA movement. He sounds very similar to President Trump as far as his policies go. And I think this is going to be a good contrast compared to Ohio Governor DeWine that we've had for a while. So I think this is going to be a good switch up. And this is not the same old Republican Party that just talks about getting policies done, good ideas, and then comes up with excuses as to why they couldn't pass any of the legislation. So Vivek Ramaswamy is he's a businessman. He made his business within the private sector. He knows how to create wealth. He knows how to be efficient, hire people, fire people. It's going along the lines of what President Trump has done. Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio, he also was a businessman who has done the same thing. So the trend of businessmen from the private sector getting into politics is going to be great for our country, and we need it on all levels. Of course, we have President Trump in the White House now, but we needed this on the state level. We need this in Congress. We need this in the Senate, and we need this just for each individual state. You could see the difference between what's happening in Florida versus blue states like California.
Exactly. And so to your point about Ohio, of course, Vice President J.D. Vance from Middletown, Ohio. I remember covering an event there, and it was almost like a President Trump rally because it was just as packed. I mean, there was people just wanting to see this great rally there by the Vice President. So yeah, Ohio with J.D. Vance, with Bernie Moreno, with Vivek Ramaswamy. So I believe that Vivek would win in a landslide in Ohio. I mean, they just voted for, President Trump and the Vice President Vance, and they voted for Bernie Moreno. So it's great to see that. Also, let's shift to Florida. You talked about Florida a little bit. Byron Donalds running for governor in Florida. That would be another great MAGA candidate. And not only MAGA, I mean, every time we talk about MAGA, I always want, us to remember that MAGA, Make America Great Again, about freedom, about we the people, about the Constitution, about America First, and all of that. And that is something that I saw the other day, Megan. I'm not sure if you watched the coverage when it was the Army 250th celebration, but somebody held up a sign that said MAGA forever. And I believe in that. I believe in that because it's rooted in truth. It's rooted in freedom for our country. And so is Byron Donalds there in Florida. So your thoughts about Florida as well moving forward?
I think Byron Donalds would be a great candidate for Florida. And actually, during these protests that were going on, the No Kings protests, in response to that, Governor DeSantis made a statement saying that if people are surrounding your cars, blocking traffic, the person in the car has the right of way to continue driving. So you can't let the mob rule in Florida. So I thought that was a great statement that he was talking about in terms of protests going on. And I think Florida has been a shining star, a beacon of hope compared to the other states across the country, especially during the COVID era. They were open. They did not shut down. They didn't have these draconian measures that the left-wing states were doing, and people had freedom in the state of Florida. So it's great to see that hopefully continuing. And MAGA forever really is a great statement. It's a great policy. It's a great foundational belief to have in terms of truly keeping America first on the global scale, keeping to our constitutional rights and our beliefs. The way the Constitution was written keeps the solid foundation for the United States, and we can never forget that. So MAGA isn't just about Trump. Obviously, this is a movement to keep America as great as everyone knows it is.
Exactly, and it means a lot. And it is President Trump, of course, the grandfather of it all when it comes to MAGA. Actually, we do know, of course, Ronald Reagan used some of that, but President Trump really took it to the next level when it comes to just really connecting with we the people as we see Make America Great Again, the most famous political slogan of all time. And when you look at overseas, maybe in Europe, maybe at the UK, you see Nigel Farage leading up the Reform UK party there. It's similar. They also say make England great. So it really is catching on for not only we the people and the people that love freedom, but the free world, the literal free world, people that are in all over the Middle East that don't want to be under a rule of somebody that's terrible for them. But we're talking about the people themselves. They want freedom. I mean, if you and I and a whole team of people went to China or we went to any country out there and we just talked to some of the people that weren't afraid to talk to us, they'd say, hey, I wish I wasn't, being controlled by my government. I wish I was free, And so that's really why we call President Trump the leader of the free world. Anyway, I know you know that stuff, Megan, but that's perfectly put about MAGA and how it means so much about the Constitution and our freedoms. Your last take on just what's going on the global scene right now. Obviously, some very, very interesting times, specifically a decision to have U.S. forces attack one spot specifically in Iran, which is called the Fordow Iran military site under a mountain there. If you want to chime in on that, feel free. It's something that, of course, we're hearing from both sides of the issue here at Right Side. What we're doing today, of course, is wanting to know what the next step is. President Trump is at the Situation Room right now. Actually, in 11 minutes, it's scheduled for